Captain Li Min stared at the data screen in his small ship, the Silent Dawn. His hands shook as he read the words again and again. The message was clear, but his mind refused to accept it. The Galactic Alliance was planning to kill every human in the galaxy. Li Min had been a good soldier for 15 years. He followed orders, kept quiet, and believed what the Alliance told him. Humans were the lucky ones, they said, protected by the mighty Alliance, safe from the dangers of deep space. All they had to do was stay on their assigned worlds and be grateful. But now he knew the truth. The Alliance ship he had been secretly following for 3 weeks finally led him to a hidden research station. Using his ship's advanced sensors, Li Min recorded everything. He watched Alliance scientists studying human prisoners. He saw them take blood, skin, and organs from living humans. He heard them talking about humans like they were animals in a zoo. The worst part was the recording he found in their computer system. A meeting between Alliance leaders talking about something called Protocol Cleanse. They planned to study humans for 5 more years, learn everything they could about human biology, and then kill them all. Every man, woman, and child on every human world. Li Min's comm system beeped. A message from Admiral Han Wu appeared on his screen. Han Wu was one of the few humans who held a high position in the Alliance military. Most humans thought he was a hero, a symbol of how humans could succeed in the galaxy. Li Min returned to base immediately. "We need to talk." Li Min set course for the hidden asteroid base where Han Wu waited. During the long journey, he thought about his family on Earth Colony 7. His wife Ji Young, his 2 daughters, his elderly parents. Were they safe? Did they know what was coming? The asteroid base looked empty from the outside, just another rock floating in space. But inside, Li Min found something that shocked him even more than the Alliance research station. Hundreds of humans worked in secret, building weapons, ships, and equipment. This was not a small operation. This was an army. Admiral Han Wu met Li Min in a large command center filled with screens and computers. The older man looked tired, but his eyes burned with determination. "You saw it, didn't you?" Han Wu asked. "The research station." "The experiments," Li Min nodded. "How long have you known?" 20 years, Han Wu replied. "Ever since I first gained access to Alliance classified files. They never trusted me, but they needed a human face to keep our people calm. What they didn't know was that I was recording everything." Han Wu led Li Min to a wall covered with star maps. Red dots marked human colonies. Blue dots showed Alliance military bases. Yellow dots indicated something else. "Those yellow markers are our hidden bases," Han Wu explained. "We have 47 of them scattered across the galaxy. For 20 years, we've been preparing for this day." Dr. Park So-young entered the room carrying a data pad. She was young for a doctor, maybe 30 years old, but her eyes held the weight of terrible knowledge. "Captain Li Min," she said, "I need to show you something important, something that explains why the Alliance wants to kill us." She activated a holographic display that showed the human body, but with strange energy patterns flowing through it. "Humans are different from every other species in the galaxy," Dr. Park explained. "We can survive exposure to something called void energy. Every other known species goes insane or dies when they encounter it. But humans, we don't just survive it. We can use it." Li Min stared at the display. "What is void energy?" "It's the power source of the ancient machines that live beyond our galaxy," Dr. Park continued. "The Alliance has been fighting these machines for thousands of years, but they can never get close enough to study them because of the void energy. That's why they need us. We're their weapon against the machines." Commander Kim Tae joined the group. He was a short, muscular man with scars on his face from old battles. "The Alliance plans to turn us into slaves," Kim Tae said. "They want to force humans to fight their war against the machines. But first they need to break our spirit, make us completely dependent on them. That's why they've kept us weak and isolated." Han Wu pointed to the star map again. "Every human world is watched by Alliance forces. They control our technology, our communication, our movement. Most humans don't even know they're prisoners." Li Min felt sick. "How many people know the truth?" "About 50,000, Han Wu replied. "We've been careful to recruit only the most trustworthy humans. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, pilots. People who can help us build what we need to survive." Dr. Park activated another display, showing strange-looking ships unlike anything Li Min had ever seen. "These are our new warships," she explained, "built with technology we've developed in secret. They can travel through void space, making them invisible to Alliance sensors. They can phase through normal matter, making them nearly impossible to hit, and they're powered by void energy that only humans can safely control. Commander Kim Tae smiled grimly. The Alliance thinks they know everything about human technology because they control what we're allowed to have. They have no idea what we can build when we put our minds to it. Han Wu's expression grew serious. Li Min, I'm going to ask you to do something dangerous. We need you to return to your regular patrol duties. Act normal. But secretly, you'll be helping us evacuate human families from the outer colonies. We need to move them to safety before the Alliance begins protocol cleanse. Li Min thought about his own family again. When will that happen? Soon, Han Wu replied. Our intelligence suggests they plan to begin the operation within 6 months. We don't have much time. Dr. Park handed Li Min a small device. This communicator uses void energy to send messages instantly across any distance. The Alliance can't detect or intercept these communications. Use it to coordinate with our evacuation teams. As Li Min prepared to leave, Han Wu put a hand on his shoulder. Captain, I know this is a lot to take in. For most of your life, you believed the Alliance was protecting humanity. It's hard to learn that everything you thought you knew was a lie. Li Min looked around the command center, watching humans work together to save their species. What happens if we fail? Then humanity dies, Han Wu said simply. But we won't fail. The Alliance made one crucial mistake. They assumed that humans would remain weak and grateful forever. They never considered that we might fight back. Commander Kim Tae grinned. They're about to learn why it's a bad idea to corner a human. As Li Min's ship, the Silent Dawn, left the asteroid base and headed back to Alliance space, he thought about the conversation. The Alliance had superior numbers, better technology, and controlled most of the galaxy, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity. An enemy that could think, adapt, and refuse to give up. The war hadn't started yet, but Li Min knew it was coming. And when it did, the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Nam Hyun gripped the controls of his experimental fighter as it dropped out of void space near the Kepler Nebula. The journey that should have taken 3 days happened in 3 seconds. Around him, space looked wrong, twisted like looking through water. This was what flying through void space felt like, and humans were the only species that could do it without going insane. Test flight successful, Nam Hyun reported to the hidden base below. Void drive is working perfectly. The response came from General Yoon Soo-jin, commander of the secret shipyards hidden inside the nebula's swirling clouds. Good work, Captain. Bring her home. We have visitors coming. Nam Hyun frowned. Visitors meant trouble. The Kepler base was supposed to be completely secret. As his fighter approached the massive construction facility hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, he saw Alliance ships on his sensors. 3 heavy cruisers and a dozen fighters moving fast toward the base. General, we have Alliance forces approaching from Sector 7, Nam Hyun reported. We know, came the reply. They found us. All pilots to fighters immediately. This is not a drill. Nam Hyun's ship landed in the main hangar bay as alarms screamed throughout the base. He ran to the briefing room where dozens of human pilots were gathering. General Yoon Soo-jin stood at the front, her face calm despite the approaching danger. Listen carefully, she said. The Alliance has discovered this base. We have maybe 10 minutes before they arrive. Our mission is simple. Protect the evacuation ships and make sure our new technology doesn't fall into Alliance hands. Engineer Choi Min-ho burst into the room, his clothes covered in grease and his face excited despite the danger. General, the new weapons are ready, he announced. We've installed void phase cannons on 12 of our fighters. The Alliance has never seen anything like them. Yoon Soo-jin nodded. Captain Nam, you'll lead the defense. Show them what human engineering can do. As the pilots ran to their ships, Nam Hyun wondered if their new technology would be enough. The Alliance had been building warships for thousands of years. Humans had been working in secret for only 20. The first Alliance ship emerged from hyperspace just as Nam Hyun's fighter launched. It was a massive cruiser, bristling with weapons and protected by shields that could stop anything humans had ever built before. All fighters, this is Nam Hyun, he said over the radio. Remember, our ships can do things theirs can't. Use void space to get close, then hit them with everything we have. The battle began badly for the humans. Alliance fighters were faster and more heavily armed. Their cruisers had shields that absorbed the humans' traditional weapons without damage. For the first few minutes, it looked like the defense would fail quickly. Then Nam Hyun activated his void drive. His fighters simply disappeared from Alliance sensors. One moment it was there, The next it was gone. The Alliance pilot searched frantically, unable to understand where it had gone. Nam Hyun's ship reappeared directly behind the lead Alliance cruiser, having traveled through void space to bypass their defenses entirely. He fired his new void phase cannons. The energy beams passed through the cruiser's shields as if they weren't there and tore massive holes in the ship's hull. Impossible, the Alliance commander screamed over the radio. Their weapons went through our shields. More human fighters began using the same tactic. They would disappear into void space, travel through dimensions the Alliance couldn't detect, and reappear in perfect attack positions. Their void phase weapons ignored all conventional defenses. Engineer Choi Min-ho watched the battle from the base's command center, grinning as his weapons performed exactly as designed. General, he said to Yoon Soo-jin, the Alliance ships are completely helpless against void phase technology. Their shields are useless. But the battle was about more than just winning. As Alliance ships exploded or retreated in confusion, their surviving crews sent desperate messages back to Alliance command. Unknown human technology detected, one surviving pilot reported. They can become invisible to all sensors. Their weapons penetrate our best shields. Request immediate reinforcement and investigation. Dr. Park So-young received these intercepted messages at the main human base in another star system. She shared them with Admiral Han Woo and Commander Kim Tae. They know now, Dr. Park said. The Alliance has seen our void technology in action. They'll want to study it, understand it, capture it. Han Woo nodded grimly, which means they'll accelerate their timeline. Protocol cleanse won't wait 6 months anymore. Commander Kim Tae was studying tactical reports from the Kepler battle. Our fighters destroyed or damaged 8 Alliance ships with no losses. But more importantly, we've shown them that humans are no longer helpless. 3 days after the battle, Alliance High Command held an emergency meeting on their capital world. The recording of this meeting would later be intercepted by human intelligence, revealing just how much the Alliance's attitude toward humanity had changed. The human rebels have technology we don't understand, one Alliance general reported. Ships that can disappear and reappear at will, weapons that ignore our shields. If this technology spreads to other human colonies, it won't. Another official interrupted. We begin protocol cleanse immediately. All human worlds will be sterilized within 30 standard days. But sir, what about the research? We still don't understand how they developed this technology. We'll capture some of their ships for study, but the humans themselves are now too dangerous to keep alive. Except for a small number kept for experimentation, they must all be eliminated. When Admiral Han Woo received this intelligence, he called an emergency meeting of all human resistance leaders. The time for hiding is over, he announced. The Alliance knows we're dangerous now. They'll move quickly to destroy us before we can become stronger. Dr. Park So-young had been working without sleep for days, analyzing captured Alliance technology and improving human void systems. Admiral, I've made a breakthrough, she reported. Humans aren't just resistant to void energy. We can actually channel it through our nervous systems. With the right training and equipment, a human can become a living void weapon. She activated a holographic display showing a human soldier wearing strange armor. These are void warriors, she explained. They can phase in and out of normal space at will. They can project void energy as a weapon. Most importantly, they can interface directly with void-powered ships and technology. Commander Kim Tae studied the display with interest. How many can we train? We've identified about 10,000 humans with the right neural patterns, Dr. Park replied. But training takes time we don't have. Han Woo made the decision that would change everything. We'll train as many as we can. But more importantly, we'll gather every human fleet in the galaxy. Every ship, every weapon, every person willing to fight. Engineer Choi Min-ho had been quiet during the meeting, but now he spoke up. Admiral, our shipyards in the Andromeda sector have been working at full capacity. We have ships the Alliance has never seen, weapons they can't imagine. If we're going to fight, now is the time. Han Woo looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders, scientists, soldiers, engineers, and pilots who had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Send the message to all human resistance cells, he ordered. Operation Homecoming begins now. Every human fleet is to converge on the Andromeda staging area. We'll build the largest war fleet in galactic history. As the meeting ended and the leaders rushed to their ships, Dr. Park So-young pulled Han Woo aside. Admiral, there's something else you should know. The void energy we've been studying, it's not just a weapon. It's alive. It's been waiting for us, waiting for humans to evolve enough to use it properly. Hanwoo stared at her. What are you saying? I'm saying that maybe this war was always meant to happen. Maybe humans were always meant to fight the Alliance. The Void wants us to win. As Hanwoo's ship left the base and headed for the Andromeda sector, he thought about Dr. Park's words. If the Void energy was truly alive, if it wanted humans to succeed, then perhaps the Alliance had made a mistake even bigger than they realized. They weren't just fighting humans anymore. They were fighting the universe itself. Fleet Admiral Song Ji-hoo stood on the bridge of his command ship as it entered the Andromeda sector. What he saw through the viewing ports made him catch his breath. Ships were arriving from every direction, emerging from void space in flashes of purple energy. Human ships from colonies he had forgotten existed, from hidden bases scattered across the galaxy, from secret construction yards that had been building in silence for decades. The gathering point was a rogue planet, dark and cold, drifting between the stars with no sun to warm it. But inside this dead world, humanity had built something incredible. Massive tunnels and chambers carved from rock housed the largest shipyard ever created. For 20 years, automated systems had been building warships using designs that existed nowhere in Alliance databases. Admiral, we have ship counts, reported Commander Yang Min-seo, the intelligence chief. As of this morning, we have registered 8,437 vessels of various classes. More are arriving every hour. Song Ji-hoo shook his head in amazement. How did we build so many ships without the Alliance noticing? Captain Ocean answered from her position at the tactical station. We built them in pieces, Admiral. Small components manufactured at different locations, then assembled here in secret. No single base had enough activity to attract attention. Dr. Lim Hae-won entered the bridge carrying a data pad and looking excited. She was young for her position as head of psionic warfare, but her discoveries had changed everything humans thought they knew about void energy. Admiral, I need to show you our latest breakthrough, she said, activating a holographic display. We've learned to use void energy not just for ships and weapons, but for direct mental contact with enemy forces. The hologram showed a human soldier wearing a special helmet, surrounded by strange energy patterns. Void-touched humans can project their consciousness across space, Dr. Lim explained. They can enter enemy minds, cause confusion, even turn Alliance crews against each other. We now have 300 trained Void warriors ready for deployment. Song Ji-hoo studied the display with fascination and concern. What are the risks to our people? Some mental strain, but nothing permanent, Dr. Lim replied. The void energy actually protects human minds while it destroys alien psychology. It's like we were designed for this kind of warfare. Captain Ocean was reviewing tactical data on her screens. Admiral, intelligence reports that Alliance fleets are spread across 12 major sectors. They're confident in their defensive positions because they still think we're a minor threat. Commander Yang Min-seo smiled grimly. They have no idea what's coming. Our spy networks report that Alliance Command believes human resistance consists of maybe 100 ships and a few thousand fighters. How wrong they are, Song Ji-hoo muttered, looking out at the vast fleet assembling around the rogue planet. A new ship emerged from void space near the command vessel. It was unlike anything in the human fleet. Sleek and organic-looking, pulsing with purple energy. Captain Ocean checked her sensors and frowned. Admiral, that ship? It's not in our database, but it's definitely human-built. The strange vessel requested permission to dock. Within an hour, its captain arrived on Song Ji-hoo's bridge. She was a woman named Captain Jang Ki-young, and she looked like she had been living in void space for years. Her eyes had a strange, distant quality, and purple energy seemed to flicker around her fingers. Admiral Song, she said, her voice carrying an odd echo. I bring greetings from the Deep Fleet. We've been exploring the void dimensions, learning its secrets. We're ready to join the fight. Song Ji-hoo had heard rumors of humans who spent so much time in void space that they were changed by it. How many ships do you command, Captain? 1,500, Jang Ki-young replied. But they're not like your ships. They're alive, grown from void energy and human will. They can do things that conventional vessels cannot. Dr. Lim Hae-won stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming protocol. Captain, your ship. How does it work? Jang Ki-young smiled, and for a moment her entire body seemed to flicker in and out of normal space. We don't pilot them, Doctor. We become them. Human consciousness merged with void energy, shaped into weapons of war. We are the ships, and the ships are us. The implications were staggering. Commander Yang Min-seo was already calculating the tactical advantages. Admiral, if Captain Zhang's ships can truly merge with void space, they could appear anywhere on a battlefield. No defense could stop them. Over the next few days, more fleets arrived. The Outer Rim colonists brought converted mining ships armed with void phase weapons. The research stations contributed vessels that could analyze and copy Alliance technology in real time. The hidden military academy sent perfectly trained crews who had spent their entire lives preparing for this war. But the most impressive arrival was the construction fleet from the Vega shipyards. Massive vessels that could build new ships during battle, using raw materials harvested from destroyed Alliance vessels. Engineer Choi Min-ho, who had traveled from the Kepler battle, nearly wept when he saw them. Admiral, he reported to Song Ji-hoo, these ships can turn any battlefield into a shipyard. If we can capture Alliance technology during combat, we can immediately reverse engineer it and build counters. Captain Ocean was now commanding a squadron of the new Wraith fighters. These single-pilot craft were her specialty, designed for pilots who could interface directly with void energy. During a training exercise, she demonstrated their capabilities to the fleet commanders. "Watch carefully," she said over the radio as her fighter approached a target drone. Suddenly, her ship seemed to become transparent, phasing partially out of normal space. The drone's weapons fired harmlessly through her fighter as if it wasn't there. Then Ocean solidified her ship and destroyed the target with a single shot. "Impressive," Song Ji-hoo commented. "How many Wraith fighters do we have?" 2,000, with more being built every day, Ocean replied. "Each one piloted by a void-touched human. We can strike anywhere, anytime, and the Alliance will never see us coming." As the human fleet continued to grow, Commander Yang Min-seo's intelligence network provided crucial information about Alliance movements. Enemy fleets were repositioning, but slowly, still believing they had time to prepare for a minor human uprising. "They're making the same mistake they've always made," Yang Min-seo reported during a command meeting. "They're underestimating us. Alliance intelligence estimates human combat strength at less than 1% of actual levels." Dr. Lim Hae-won had been working with Captain Jang Ki-young to understand the possibilities of void-human fusion. "Admiral, we've discovered something remarkable. The void doesn't just allow humans to travel between dimensions. It connects all human minds across any distance. We can coordinate our entire fleet as if it were a single organism." Song Ji-hoo realized the full implications. Real-time communication across the galaxy? Perfect coordination between all human forces? "More than that," Dr. Lim replied. "Shared knowledge, shared experience, shared purpose. When the battle begins, every human ship will fight with the knowledge and skill of every other human ship." The final piece fell into place when Admiral Han Wu arrived aboard his flagship. The older man had been coordinating the evacuation of human civilians from Alliance-controlled worlds, saving millions of lives before the coming storm. "Admiral Song," Han Wu said as they met in the command center of the rogue planet, "the evacuation is complete. Every human who wanted to escape Alliance space has been moved to safety. Now we can fight without worrying about civilian casualties." Song Ji-hoo activated the main display, showing the assembled human fleet in all its terrible glory. 12,000 ships of every class, from massive carriers that could deploy entire armies to tiny fighters that could phase through solid matter. Weapons that the Alliance had never imagined, powered by energy they couldn't understand, crewed by humans who had nothing left to lose. "Commanders," Song Ji-hoo announced to the assembled fleet leaders, "tomorrow we begin the liberation of the galaxy. The Alliance has ruled through fear and oppression for thousands of years. They've enslaved species, conducted horrific experiments, and planned genocide. But they made one crucial mistake." He paused, looking at each face around the table. "They assumed that humans would always be grateful victims. They never considered that we might evolve into their worst nightmare." Captain Jang Ki-young spoke up, her voice carrying the authority of the void itself. "Admiral, the Deep Fleet is ready. We've scouted every Alliance stronghold, mapped every defensive position. When we strike, it will be with perfect knowledge of our enemies." Han Wu nodded approvingly. "The war begins at dawn. Send word to every human in the galaxy. Today we were prey. Tomorrow we become predators." As the command meeting ended and the fleet prepared for battle, Song Ji-hoo stood alone on his bridge looking out at the greatest armada in human history. In a few hours, these ships would emerge from void space in a dozen star systems simultaneously, bringing war to an Alliance that thought humans were defenseless. The galaxy was about to learn why cornering humanity was the biggest mistake the Alliance had ever made. Admiral Shin Woo-jin watched from his command bridge as the first Alliance fleet simply vanished from existence. One moment, 300 Alliance warships were patrolling the Rigel sector. The next moment, there was nothing but debris and the fading purple glow of void energy. "Target eliminated," reported Captain Jang Ki-young over the Void Communication Network. Her deep fleet ships had materialized inside the Alliance formation, their void weapons tearing through shields and armor as if they were made of paper. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out in 12 different star systems. Alliance fleets that had patrolled space for centuries disappeared without warning, destroyed by human ships that appeared from dimensions the Alliance didn't know existed. In the Nexus Prime system, Captain Jang Ki-young's massive void carrier Vengeance emerged from void space directly above the planet's capital city. The ship was enormous, easily the size of a small moon, its hull crackling with purple energy that hurt Alliance eyes to look at. "Planetary shields are useless," reported Commander Baek So-jin, who led the special operations teams. "We're already inside their defensive perimeter, landing craft away." Thousands of human fighters poured from the Vengeance's hangar bays like angry insects, each one piloted by a void-touched human, each one capable of phasing through solid matter. The Alliance planetary defense grid, designed to stop conventional attacks, was completely helpless. Pilot Kang Subin was only 19 years old, but she had been training for void combat since she was 12. Her fighter was her second skin, responding to her thoughts as quickly as her own body. She dove toward an Alliance defense platform, her ship becoming transparent as the platform's weapons fired harmlessly through her. "Remember," she said to her squadron over the radio, "we're not here to conquer. We're here to liberate, avoid civilian areas and focus on military targets." But liberation came with a price. As Kang Subin's fighter approached an Alliance command bunker, she detected a massive explosion building inside the structure. The Alliance commanders were destroying their computers rather than let human forces capture their secrets. "They're going to detonate the whole facility," her wingman warned. "Subin, get out of there." Instead, Kang Subin made a decision that would inspire human warriors for generations. She flew her fighter directly into the bunker, phasing through the walls until she reached the command center. There she solidified her ship and detonated her void core, containing the Alliance explosion and saving thousands of civilian lives in the surrounding city. Her sacrifice was felt instantly by every human in the fleet. Through the Void Communication Network, her final thoughts reached every pilot, every soldier, every commander. Her courage became their courage. Her determination became their strength. "For Subin," became the battle cry that echoed across a dozen worlds. Commander Baek So-jin led ground forces that seemed like something from a nightmare to Alliance defenders. Human soldiers who could phase through walls, weapons that fired bullets from alternate dimensions, armor that existed partially outside normal space-time. They moved through Alliance fortifications like ghosts, striking without warning and disappearing before counterattacks could be organized. "Sir, the human forces are inside our most secure bunkers," an Alliance general reported to his command staff. "Our walls and shields can't stop them. They're fighting with technology that shouldn't exist." But the humans weren't just using superior technology. They were fighting with a fury the Alliance had never encountered. Every human soldier knew about the experiments, the planned genocide, the centuries of lies. This wasn't just a military operation. This was revenge. Admiral Shin Woo-jin coordinated the diversionary campaigns from his flagship, the carrier Storm's Eye. Using the Void Communication Network, he could command fleets scattered across 50 star systems as if they were all in the same battle. "Phase 3 begins now," he announced to his commanders. "All fleets execute simultaneous strikes on Alliance reserve positions." The Alliance military command was in chaos. Their fleets were being destroyed faster than they could report the attacks. Worse, human forces were appearing in star systems that should have been impossible to reach without weeks of travel. "How are they moving so fast?" demanded Alliance Supreme Commander Velkorth during an emergency meeting. "Our intelligence shows human ships cannot exceed standard hyperspace speeds." "Sir, they're not using hyperspace," reported a Alliance science officer. "They're traveling through some kind of alternate dimension. Our sensors can't track them while they're in transit." Alliance High Command was learning what human resistance leaders had known for years. Void space existed parallel to normal space, allowing instantaneous travel across any distance. But only humans could survive the journey without going insane. The real shock came when Alliance forces finally managed to capture a damaged human fighter. When their scientists examined the wreckage, they found technology that challenged everything they thought they knew about physics. The power source appears to be some form of directed consciousness, the chief Alliance scientist reported. The human pilot wasn't just controlling the ship. He was the ship. His mind was merged with the vessel's systems through energy patterns we can't identify. Meanwhile, engineer Choi Min-ho's construction fleets were turning captured Alliance technology into new weapons with frightening speed. Every destroyed Alliance ship became raw material for human vessels. Every captured base became a factory for void-powered equipment. Admiral, Choi Min-ho reported to Song Ji-hoo. We're now building ships faster than the Alliance can destroy them. More importantly, each new vessel incorporates improvements based on captured Alliance technology. The war was becoming a nightmare for the Alliance. Not only were they losing, but their enemies were getting stronger with every battle. Human forces were adaptive, innovative, and seemingly impossible to predict or counter. Captain Oh Seon led her Wraith Squadron in an attack on the Alliance fortress world of Titan's Gate. The planet was protected by defensive systems that had never been breached in 1,000 years. Orbital platforms, energy shields, automated defense drones, and a garrison of 50,000 elite Alliance soldiers. Target the command centers first, Ocean ordered her pilots. Remember, our ships can phase through their defenses. Use that advantage. Her fighters dove toward the planet like falling stars, becoming transparent as the orbital platforms opened fire. Millions of energy bolts passed harmlessly through the Wraith fighters as they approached their targets. Then, at the last moment, the fighters solidified and released their weapons. The effect was devastating. Alliance commanders found themselves under attack by enemies they couldn't see, couldn't hit, and couldn't understand. Within hours, Titan's Gate fell to human forces. But the most important victory came when Dr. Lim Hae-won successfully infiltrated the Alliance communication network using void-powered psionics. From her position aboard Song Ji-hoo's flagship, she reached across space to touch the minds of Alliance officers. I can see their battle plans, she reported. Her consciousness spread across dozens of star systems. More importantly, I can change them. Watch. On 17 different worlds, Alliance commanders suddenly received orders to withdraw their fleets from defensive positions. The orders appeared to come from Alliance High Command, transmitted through their most secure channels. Within hours, dozens of star systems were left undefended. How did you do that? Asked Song Ji-hoo in amazement. I convinced their officers that they were receiving legitimate orders, Dr. Lim replied. Void energy allows human consciousness to mimic Alliance thought patterns perfectly. To them, I sounded exactly like their own commanders. As human forces advanced deeper into Alliance space, they discovered the true horror of Alliance rule. Entire species enslaved in massive labor camps. Alien children taken from their families for experimentation. Worlds stripped of all resources to feed the Alliance war machine. This isn't just about saving humanity anymore, Admiral Han Wu said during a command conference. Every species in the galaxy has been oppressed by these monsters. We're not conquering the Alliance. We're liberating it. The message was broadcast to every world in Alliance space, transmitted on frequencies that reached every intelligent species in the galaxy. Humans weren't coming as conquerors, but as liberators. Any species that rose against their Alliance oppressors would receive human support. The response was immediate and overwhelming. On 1,000 worlds, enslaved aliens turned against their Alliance masters. Rebellions erupted in every sector of Alliance space. The galactic order that had lasted for millennia began to crumble in a matter of days. Sir, we're receiving rebellion reports from every sector, an Alliance general reported to Supreme Commander Velkorth. The human broadcast has triggered uprisings across the entire galaxy. Velkorth stared at the tactical displays showing red warning lights on almost every Alliance world. How many ships do we have left? Perhaps 30% of our original strength, sir. The humans are destroying our fleets faster than we can replace them. For the first time in Alliance history, their leaders began to consider the impossible, surrender, but the humans weren't finished yet. Fleet Grand Admiral Ko Dae-jung stood on the command bridge of Terraza. Wrath, a dreadnought so massive it had its own gravity field, Through the viewing ports, he could see the Alliance capital world of Concordia, shining like a jewel against the darkness of space. For 3,000 years, this planet had been the center of galactic power. Today, it would fall to human forces. Fleet status report, Ko Dae-jung ordered. Captain Ryu Hyojin, commander of the Terra's Wrath, consulted her tactical displays. 15,000 ships in position, Admiral. All fleets report ready for the final assault. Dr. Bae Min-jung worked at her station, coordinating the void space communication network that connected every human ship across the galaxy. Through her efforts, Ko Dae-jung could command forces from dozens of star systems, as if they were all in the same room. Admiral, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 Alliance sector commanders, Dr. Bae reported. They're requesting terms for their remaining fleets. Ko Dae-jung nodded. Tell them they can surrender unconditionally or be destroyed. Those are the only choices. Around Concordia, the Alliance had assembled the largest defensive fleet in galactic history. 20,000 warships, orbital defense platforms, energy shields that could stop a small star, and weapons that had never been tested because no enemy had ever come this close to the Alliance capital. Alliance Supreme Commander. Velkorth watched the approaching human fleet from his command center on Concordia's surface. His species had ruled the galaxy for 3 millennia, but he had never seen anything like the force approaching his world. Sir, our sensors are detecting massive energy readings from the human fleet, his tactical officer reported, but the readings don't match any known technology. What do you mean? Velkorth demanded. Sir, some of their ships appear to be alive. They're generating biological energy signatures mixed with artificial technology. It's like they've merged organic matter with starship components. Velkorth remembered the reports from captured human prisoners, humans who spoke of void energy as if it were a living thing. Warriors who claimed they could merge their consciousness with their ships. He had dismissed these reports as the fantasies of a primitive species. Now he wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. General Park Jin-woo led the ground assault forces aboard massive transport ships that were invisible to Alliance sensors. His soldiers wore armor that existed partially in void space, making them nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. Remember, Park Jin-woo told his troops, we're not here to destroy Concordia. We're here to liberate it. The Alliance has kept billions of beings enslaved on this world. Our job is to free them, not harm them. The battle began when Captain Jang Ki-young's deep fleet emerged from void space directly inside Concordia's orbital defense grid. Her ships, now completely merged with void energy, looked more like living creatures than starships. They moved with organic grace, flowing through space like massive predators. Shields are useless against us, Jang Ki-young announced over the void communication network. We exist in dimensions their weapons can't reach. All ships begin Phase 1. The Alliance defensive platforms opened fire with every weapon they had. Energy beams, particle cannons, missile swarms, and gravity weapons designed to crush enemy ships into atoms. The attacks passed harmlessly through the human vessels as if they were attacking ghosts. Then the human ships solidified and returned fire. Captain Ryu. Hyojin's dreadnought Terra's Wrath materialized above the Alliance High Council chambers like a mountain, falling from space. The ship was so large it blocked out the sun, casting a shadow over half the planet's capital city. Alliance High Command. This is Captain Ryu Hyojin of the Human Liberation Fleet. She broadcast on all frequencies. You have 10 minutes to surrender unconditionally. After that, we will take your government by force. Alliance Supreme Commander Velkorth stared up at the massive human ship through his command center's viewing dome. How did they get so close? What happened to our shields? Sir, their ship came from inside the planet, his tactical officer reported in a shaking voice. It traveled through solid matter to reach us. Our shields can't stop something that doesn't exist in normal space. Meanwhile, General Park Jin-woo's ground forces were storming Alliance government buildings using tactics that seemed impossible. Soldiers who walked through walls, weapons that fired bullets from alternate dimensions, and vehicles that could phase in and out of reality at will. Sir, the human forces are inside the council chambers, an Alliance guard reported. They came through the walls. Our security barriers can't stop them. Velkorth realized that the Alliance was facing an enemy they had no defense against. Human technology didn't just surpass Alliance science. It operated by rules that Alliance scientists didn't understand. Open a communication channel to the human fleet, he ordered. I want to speak to their commander. Grand Admiral Ko Dae-jung received the communication request while coordinating the assault from his flagship. When Velkorth's image appeared on his screen, the Alliance commander looked like a being who had just realized his entire worldview was wrong. "Human Admiral," Velkorth said, "I wish to discuss terms for ceasing hostilities." "The terms are simple," Ko Dae-jung replied. "Unconditional surrender. Complete dismantling of the Alliance government. Freedom for all enslaved species. Reparations for 3,000 years of oppression." Velkorth's expression showed his shock. "Admiral, you must understand the Alliance has governed the galaxy for millennia. You cannot simply replace our entire civilization. Watch us," Ko Dae-jung said, and ended the communication. The final assault began at dawn on Concordia. Human forces emerged from void space in every major city simultaneously. Alliance soldiers found themselves fighting enemies who could appear and disappear at will, who could walk through solid walls, and whose weapons ignored all conventional armor. But the humans weren't interested in causing unnecessary destruction. General Park Jin-woo's troops moved with surgical precision, targeting only Alliance military forces and government installations. Civilian areas were left untouched, protected by human soldiers who positioned themselves as shields between Alliance forces and innocent aliens. Dr. Bae Min-jung coordinated a massive information campaign, broadcasting the truth about Alliance crimes to every intelligent species on Concordia. The planet's population, which included billions of beings from hundreds of worlds, learned for the first time about the experiments, the genocide plans, and the centuries of oppression. "Citizens of Concordia," the broadcast announced, "the human liberation fleet is not your enemy. We are here to free you from the Alliance that has enslaved your worlds and murdered your people. Rise up and reclaim your freedom." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across Concordia, aliens who had been forced to serve the Alliance turned against their oppressors. The planet's population, representing hundreds of species, joined the human assault on Alliance positions. Within 6 hours, it was over. Alliance forces surrendered en masse as their command structure collapsed. Supreme Commander Velkorth was found in his bunker, surrounded by dead communication equipment and broken computers. "The Alliance formally surrenders to human forces," he announced in a broadcast that reached every corner of the galaxy. "All Alliance military units are ordered to stand down immediately." Grand Admiral Ko Dae-jung accepted the surrender aboard the Terra's Wrath, with representatives from dozens of liberated species present as witnesses. "The Alliance government is hereby dissolved," Ko Dae-jung announced. "All enslaved species are declared free. All Alliance military forces will be disarmed and disbanded. A new galactic government will be established based on equality and democracy, not oppression and fear." But the real victory wasn't military. As human forces took control of Alliance databases, they found records of crimes spanning thousands of years. Entire species wiped out for refusing to submit. Billions of beings enslaved to build Alliance monuments. Children taken from their families and subjected to horrific experiments. "The galaxy needs to see this," Dr. Bae Min-jung said as she reviewed the files. "Every species needs to know what the Alliance really was." The broadcasts that followed changed everything. Across 1,000 worlds, beings who had lived in fear for generations learned that their oppressors were gone. Species that had been enslaved for centuries were suddenly free. Children who had been born in captivity saw sunlight for the first time. Admiral Han Wu, now an old man but still proud, stood in the Alliance's former council chambers as representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to form a new government. "Today, we begin something the galaxy has never seen," he said to the assembled delegates. "A true democracy of worlds, where no species dominates another, where freedom is a right, not a privilege." The formation of the galactic democracy took months, but it was built on principles the Alliance had never understood. Equality, justice, and respect for all intelligent life. Humans, who had once been considered the least significant species in the galaxy, became the architects of a new age. Captain Ryu Hyojin found herself patrolling the former Alliance capital, now a free world where beings from hundreds of species worked together in harmony. Her massive dreadnought, once a weapon of war, had become a symbol of protection and hope. "Admiral," she reported to Ko Dae-jung, "we're